Natyashastra is the earliest literature on music and drama, written somewhere around 500 BC by BharatMuni. It comprises of 6,000 couplets in Sanskrit and is spread over 36 chapters. The focus of Natyashastra was on dance and drama with music as an aid. This title Natyashastra is a combination of two Sanskrit words, Natya and Shastra. Natya means technique of dance and drama, and Shastra refers to science. It is the magnum opus that describes the relation between director and audience, how to structure a play, what are the techniques of acting, costumes, makeup, music, and musical instruments to be used, the dimensions of the stage and its decorations with lighting, and the size of the hall and seating of audience. So we see that there are some chapters like chapters 28 to 33, they dwell on music, vocal instruments, their development in drama and theatre. BharatMuni expounded the relationship between performers and audience through Ras Bhav Anubhav. He elucidated 8 types of ras and their corresponding bhav, that is, emotions. A ras is an emotional state. Very simply put, it means juice or sap. A ras is usually the dominant emotional theme through a work of art. It is the delight and pleasure experienced directly from art. Bhav means to become. It is a state of mind whose outcome is a ras. So bhav is the emotion felt by the character and communicated to the audience via various dramatizations by the performer, resulting in the audience experiencing the ras. As per BharatMuni, bhav by itself is incomplete and carries no meaning without the ras. So we have Shringar ras, its bhav is rati, the emotion is of romance. We have Hasya ras, the bhav is has, the emotion is humor. Karuna is the third ras, the bhav is shok, and the emotion we know is compassion. Rodra is a ras whose bhav is krodh, and the emotion is anger. Then there is Veer ras, the bhav is utsah, and the emotion is valor. Another ras is Bhyanak, the bhav is bhaya, and the emotion is fear. Vibhats is another ras, and the bhav is jugupsa, that is the emotion of disgust. Adbhut is a ras, and the bhav is bismaya, the emotion is marvel. The tradition of Sanskrit scholarship regards Natyashastra as an additional Ved. According to BharatMuni, Natyashastra imitates the conduct of the world. Natyashastra will be the instrument of instruction for the world in addition to entertainment and pleasure. Natyashastra includes all knowledge, craft, art, lore, fine art, design, emotions, and acts of life. So, Natyashastra is an indication of the happenings in the life of gods, demons, kings, family, men, and sages who have spiritual knowledge. So, in fact, the nature and behavior of the world intimately connected with happiness and misery as rendered by physical and other forms of acting to be called Natyashastra. There are some important terms mentioned in Natyashastra. There is Vithi. Vithi, Vithi. Vithi should have one act. It has the character of all the sentiments and comprises of 13 aspects. It is to be acted by one or two characters. It may include three kinds of dramatic prakriti: high, middling, and low. Then there is model spectator, a person who watches a dramatic performance with full concentration and makes a judgment on the basis of merit. Ignoring artistic faults can be judged as a model spectator. All these qualities cannot be expected in a single person. Then there is compendium. It gives an account of rhetorical sentiments, ras, emotional states, bhav, ascribing mental conditions, sthai bhav, transient mental states, vyabhachari bhav, psychophysical conditions, satvik bhav, the four kinds of abhinay, histrionic representation, the dharam, the mode of dramatic representation, the success of natya, musical notes, instrument songs, the size and shape of theatre in detail. So as we said, bhav and ras are related mutually. Ras arises from the mutual contact of bhav and ras. During the process of histrionic representation, the two bhav and ras accomplish their status and function by dual interaction. The bhav produces poetic contents through words, gestures, and movements and psychophysical representation. Bhav is a root that denotes compassion. Bhav is produced by vibhav, stimulants, and functions as awareness to the spectator, anubhav, and the acting modes of words and gestures, sattva, abhinaya. So let us now talk about Vyabhichari Bhav. Vyabhichari Bhav are more prominent towards creating the sentiments in a variety of ways. They move the spectators to the poetic sentiments in actual dramatic performance. They are 33 in number. Satvik Bhav is something that originates in the mind. Sattva is produced when the mind is in perfect concentration on state of equipoise. The sattvic bhavs are essential for histrionic representation of human nature. Sattvic bhav are 8 in number. Vibhav has the sense of cause or stimulant, instrument of intention. Vibhav determines words, gestures, psychophysical acts. Vibhav. Vibhav is the determinant or stimulant of bhav. Actor determines words, gestures, and psychophysical acts on the basis of vibhav, and also the spectator determines out of actor's representation of words, gestures, and psychophysical acts. Anubhav is dramatic experience, that is consequence of physical reaction to acting through words and gestures. Ras has a twofold significance. It means both aesthetic content and aesthetic relish. Ras arises from a proper combination of the stimulants, vibhav, the physical consequence, anubhav, and the transient emotional state, vyabhichari bhav. It is called ras because it is capable of being tested or relished. Just as by a proper combination of different spicy food stuffs, vyanjan, leafy vegetable, aushadhi, and other articles of food, dravya, there is a flavor and taste produced. In the same way, when different emotional states come together, aesthetic flavor and relish are produced. This is the line taken from the translated Natyashastra by G.N. Devi. So it means the spectators in the right frame of mind taste the permanent mental conditions suggested. by the representation of emotional states. That abhinay carried out by speech, delivery, vak, physical gestures, movements, ang, the physical acting of physical impact, sattva, and obtain pleasure and satisfaction. So Bharat Muni defines Ras Sutra as Vibhav, Anubhav, Vaibhachari, Samayogyata, Ras, Nishpati. He observes 8 ras, namely Shringar, Hasya, Veer, Adbhut, Raudra, Karuna, Vibhats and Bhyanak. Bhav brings about the inner idea of the poet. It then pervades the mind of the spectator. So the permanent emotional states alone are said to obtain the status of the ras. The erotic, comic, heroic and marvelous are positive traits of mind. However, the furious, pathetic, odious and terrible are negative. The erotic, that is Shringar Ras, is derived from the dominant state of love and has its basis in shining and brighter aspects of the world, such as white, pure, beautiful. The comic, Hasya Ras, has its basis in the dominant emotion of laughter. It is derived from showing unseemly dress or ornament, impudence, greediness, quarrel or defective limb. The heroic ras has its basis in the superior type of persons, grandeur, greatness, goodness, strength and energy. It displays concentration of mind, perseverance, diplomacy, discipline, military strength, aggressiveness, reputation of might and frightening capacity, etc. The marvelous, that is Adbhut Ras, finds its basis in the dominant state of astonishment. It is derived from the determinants such as sight of heavenly being or events, attainment of desired object, entrance into superior mansion, temple, audience hall, seeing illusory and magical acts, and so on. The furious Raudra Ras finds its basis in the dominant state of anger. It is derived from the determinants such as anger, rape, abuse, insult, untruth, allegation, jealousy, and so on. The Rakshas, Danav, and haughty men are its sources. The pathetic Karuna Ras is rooted in the dominant state of sorrow, misery, and suffering. It is derived from determinants such as afflictions due to separation from dear ones, divorce, loss of wealth, person, death, accident, or plight and captivity. The odious Vibhats Ras has the dominant state of disgust. It is derived from determinants such as hearing of unpleasant, offensive, impure, harmful things or seeing and discussing them. On the stage, it can be represented by consequences such as stopping the movements of all limbs, narrowing down the mouth, and so on. The terrible Bhyanak Ras is rooted in the dominant state of fear. It is derived from the determinants such as hideous noise, sight of ghost, panic, anxiety or voices of jackals and owls, an empty house, dense forest, sight of murder or death of hearing, and discussion of such events and change of color, loss of voice, and so on. It is quoted in Natyashastra, the wise should know that the Vibhav and the Anubhav are such matters in the art of acting as are actually created by human nature and as closely follow the ways of human nature and worldly conduct. Then there is this Nishpati. According to BharatMuni, Nishpati is a manifestation, abhivyakti of what was already latent. So all ras are dominated by pleasure because of being the manifest and uninterrupted form of tasting one's own consciousness. BharatMuni identifies specific colors and deities for the ras, like ras with the name erotic Shringar ras. The colors are shown light green. The deity is Vishnu. For comic ras, the color is white. Prometheus is the deity. Furious ras has color red, and the deity is Rudra. Pathetic ras has ash color. The deity is Yama. Odious ras has blue, and then the deity is Shiv Mahakal. The terrible ras is shown with color black, and the deity is Kal. Heroic ras has light orange color, and the deity is Indra. Marvelous ras is shown in yellow color, and the deity is Brahma. So we see that Abhinav Gupta considers Shanti, that is peace, as the ninth ras. So this is the point of debate over the status of this ras in the tradition of Sanskrit scholarship in art and literature. So the absence of Shanti as ras in BharatMuni's Natyashastra is a question of debate and discussion in the philosophical systems in the East and the West. As we do find Shanti being artistically used in the classical work by T.S. Eliot named The Waste Land.